Welcome to the Business Over Beer Happy Hour, a daily dose of support for business owners, entrepreneurs, and people passionate about what they do. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Knope, it's time to grab a beer, enjoy some cheer, and join together.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for holding in there. We had some technical issues, but we got it finally figured out. And I hear echo.
It's gone now. Sorry.
It's gone. It's gone. I am your bartender for this evening, Ben. I'm co-bartender. And across the bar from me is Jonathan, Mr. Respect the Hair, the terror of power. What's up, Jonathan?
What's going on, Ben? I definitely have a case of the Mondays. I'm glad that it's happy hour. I'm glad that I'm staring a beer in the face because I can tell you what, I need to have a beer that will make me happy. The other thing that makes me happy is something that I am down with. I hope you are all down with the KNOPP, the gift that keeps on giving. Jason Knope, welcome to Happy Hour, my friend. How you feeling tonight?
I am feeling the love. I mean, wow, Kaler. Man, something new from you.
Sorry, did I lay it on a little? I lay it on a little too thick. Sorry, man.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, I'll take
Come
it.
on.
I'll take it, bro. By the way, your hair looks stellar today.
Would you expect anything less?
Never.
I appreciate the respect.
Hey, Ben, who do we have with us today? Who do we got?
We have a very good friend of mine, a high school friend, Kristine Konen. She's with NAMI, Northern Virginia, and she is the president and CEO of that, right, Kristine?
Correct.
That is awesome. So tell us a little bit about what NAMI does.
Sure. So NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And there are 3 different levels. They operate at the national level, at the state level, and there's also local affiliates. And what our local affiliates does is we work with individuals living with mental health conditions as well as caregivers of those living with mental health conditions. And we provide education, support, and advocacy in relationship to that situation. So whether it be the caregiver or whether it be the individual, we provide support in those 2 arenas.
Wow. And how many people do you have working for NAMI? Do you know, like all over the country?
Well, across the country, there are over 800 different affiliates and state total organizations. I think there's almost 1,000 at this point.
Wow.
And then, so we have a pretty broad reach across the country.
That is awesome. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that and how this whole situation is impacting that. But Kristine, this is Happy Hour, and this is Business Over Beer Happy Hour. So I'm thirsty, Jonathan.
Ben, me too, bro.
All right. So
shall I kick us off?
Please do.
All right. Well, hey, in the spirit of supporting small businesses, I started at a brewery that was supposed to open at 4:00, and they weren't open yet. So I had to call an audible and went over and visited our good friends at Ben's Bottle Shop here in Vancouver, Washington, and picked up a couple of things from them. But just a reminder, Ben's is open. They've got coolers filled with beer. They've still got draft too. I had a growler filled up over there. So go check those guys out. Support your local breweries. But what I'm going to drink tonight is from Machine House Brewery out of Seattle, Washington. I think this is great in line with what we do because this is a small brewery in the Georgetown neighborhood of Seattle, and they brew small batch beers, mostly in the English style. So this is called the Best Bitter English Style Ale.
That sounds delicious.
Trying to get it. They were trying to get the sound. I didn't get it very good. So
No, you got it. I heard it. Made
we'll
my
pour.
mouth water.
There you go. We'll get this thing poured out here. It's a beautiful copper color, exactly what you would expect from an English ale. Unfiltered. It's got some stuff, some sediment in there. Oh, it smells great. I'm gonna get after it.
Nice. Canope, what are you drinking, brother? Canope, what are you drinking?
He might have drank too many, or he drank himself into a stew.
I'm here. I had to.
Oh, there he is.
I had to get the dang thing to unmute. I am enjoying a Ghost Runner's Pilsner today. It's a lovely golden color and a delicious flavor.
All right.
What about you,
And
Ben?
I got myself, we played our game, our football Hot Wheels roll the dice game. And today, from Final Draft that I got the Ferminator 2 from Brothers Cascadia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. Ooh, yeah. Kristine, are you drinking anything or not really?
Well, I decided that in honor of those in recovery, I'm going to make a cold, pure water.
What was that? What did you say? I lost you a little bit.
So I said I decided that in honor of those in recovery, I'm going to drink a cold, purified drinking water.
All right. Water is good.
Always delicious.
The only question I have, Kristine, is does that make you happy?
Yes, at the moment, it's very nice.
Oh, good enough. Hey, that's what we're all about on the happy. As long as it makes you happy, that's good enough. Prost, everyone.
Prost. All right. So, Kristine, tell us a little bit about what you've been hearing from. Well, tell us a little bit how your business works now. I mean, obviously, you're working from home, but has anything else changed on the way you've been doing business?
Well, that was a change for us, just the working remote in and of itself, because we only had half of our team working remote before, so we had to quickly adjust. And we are in shelter in place until at least June 10th now, in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we're taking that into consideration as far as how long we'll have to remain teleworking.
Did you say until June 10th?
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I'm guessing that's a big change. And has it been, what have you been learning, like the way you've been doing business? How has that part changed with your people?
Yeah. So half of our team does family support partner services. So they work with caregivers of youth who are in need of mental health services in the community. And that half of the team has always worked more remote. So they are pretty much doing everything the same, except for they are not allowed or able to meet in person with the families that they're used to serving or that they are serving currently. So that has adjusted because depending on where the families are at, some of them are more comfortable meeting in person versus virtually. So we've had to adapt with HIPAA compliant end-to-end encrypted video software in order to maintain those services. And then the other half of our business is we work doing support groups and classes and presentations. So we've had to cancel presentations and classes, and we're working on changing over our support groups to virtual, so that we still have a place for the community, in that the community is still supported in those ways. And those are for both peers, so those living with mental health conditions, or for caregivers of those, so parents or grandparents or foster parents and that kind of thing.
Wow. I would imagine people with living with mental health, and dealing with mental health issues, like that one-on-one and that person-to-person thing has been absolutely such a change. How are they adapting, or what things are you telling them to help them adapt to the new changes?
Well, everybody is unique, and that's, it's interesting because there's a variety in the families that we serve and with the individuals that we serve. So, for instance, we've had some instances where individuals didn't want to go into public, and they were at home and they couldn't go past getting out of their house, kind of thing. So now it's almost like society has shifted where everybody's being asked to shelter in place. And I think, to be honest, I think it's almost created more of a mental health strain on individuals who are used to being out and about. And now they have to adjust how they're living and their parameters for social interaction, and limiting that social interaction. You know what I'm saying? It's a different impact.
Totally, yeah. I like Kaylor. We talked about that a little bit, about people who go into work every day and they're used to this routine, and now all of a sudden that's being taken away. I mean, that H2H experience is now gone. I didn't even think of it that way, but that would be a total strain on somebody's mental health.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I think for me, it's just been so much about trying to find a routine, and it really is a strain. It's a different, new kind of stress with having the kids at home, with having my wife working from home, not going outside, as much as I should, not exercising, probably drinking too much beer, and it's definitely a new kind of stress on. I mean, I think humans rely on the social interaction, and when that's taken away, I think it just adds a new level of stress. So,
Yep, totally. And Kristine, we talked a little bit about, the introverts who who are like living, oh, this is nothing to us. But again, that the people who are not used to this, what tips or ideas do you have for them to kind of make sure that their mental health needs are being met?
Well, I think that's so key right now. And I think that you've already brought up one, and that's structure. Just continuing, for instance, for my team, I've implemented a check-in every morning at 10 o'clock. So the whole team gets on a platform, and we're there in video, we're there audio, and we're talking about what's happening, and we're talking about the stresses, and we're processing as this is happening. So it's not building up inside, we're not holding it in. And that's an important piece, just to be able to process what's going on. One thing I've learned in my recovery is that taking, when you feel that mental strain, when you feel like you're mentally overloaded, doing a change of state, so getting up and exercising, or getting up and doing another coping mechanism that works for you. For instance, some people might go out in the sun, but some people might just want to sit on the couch and veg out for a while and watch a TV show or something like that. There's different coping mechanisms people have for different reasons. So the key is to pick the healthy ones.
Right. Another thing that was brought to my attention last week was, if you have a family and you're with your family and you're with them inside this confined space for an amount of time, it's finding that alone time, and like you brought it up, and even if it's something simple as just going for a quick walk outside if you're able to, or cuddling up to that TV show for a half hour, breathing exercises. You and I had talked last week. Maybe talk a little bit about some breathing exercises that people can do.
I think there are a lot of breathing exercises you can do. And one thing that I would encourage in addition to breathing is meditation, because there are a ton of apps out there that help with meditation and have actually visually guided exercises where you're being guided through a meditation, guided through the breathing itself. So that's helpful, because then you don't even have to necessarily think about what you're doing. You can just focus on what the person is saying and just do it. And you have to think, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? I just learned of a new app in the last 2 weeks. It's called Insight Minds. I found it's really helpful. There's meditation on there for free. So, I've been utilizing that as part of my downtime.
Any other tips for people? A lot of our people who listen are small business owners, and right now this is it's a trying time for everybody, obviously, but for a lot of them, they don't know what the next steps are going to be. What tips do you have for the small business owners who are forced to do this? Do you have any tips other than just maybe, do you have any tips for small business owners?
So I think the most important thing, in my opinion, based on my recovery and based on my experience, is that if you don't have your own mental health, you're no good to anybody else. So taking care of your own mental health first is going to be your one of your primary concerns, because if you can't function mentally, you're not going to be able to make decisions. You're not going to be able to deal with the amount of stress that you're under, and you're just going to be just not very useful in general, and which could create more havoc than you're already having to deal with. You definitely don't want to be in that situation. So just taking care of your own mental health first and foremost is most important, I think. It's such a dynamic environment right now, and there are so many changes. I feel like every day I've got, 5 to 10 emails giving me new information on the FFCRA mandate and the EFMLA, the sick leave, the new tax credits, just an inundating with ways to deal with what's going on. But I feel like I don't even have time to process all of them. So I empathize with business owners who are in that same scenario, because you need help and you need support systems in place. So if you don't have an HR support system in place, who do you go to for that expertise? Who can you tap into, who maybe already is experiencing it, or who knows or has the background in it, who can help you out? So leaning on your support systems that you already have and your natural supports that you already have, maybe, experts that that maybe aren't working for you, but maybe they would be willing to volunteer an hour or two to go through with you what the mandate means or what the new tax credit means. Things like that. Those are things that I think are key for business owners. And I think that, another piece is dealing with the employees and knowing how to handle the employees in the crises, and knowing that their mental health is going to a certain extent, is going to be impacted by what's going on, and just having empathy for where they're at and being able to express and communicate what's happening as it's happening for your current employees to keep that morale up and to keep, as much trust as you can in the relationship between you and the employees is, I think, really important.
Yep.
Those are a couple of things I can think of right off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's kind of like, when you're on the airline and they say you got to put on your mask before you put on your child's mask. It's the same with mental health. That was a great point, Kristine. It's like if you're not in the right mental state, and if your mental health isn't up, then how can you help your employees or your business partners? That is a really, really good tip. And communication with other business owners who are going through the same thing, we've learned, has helped tremendously for a lot of these businesses. So great, great, great stuff, Kristine.
So, Kristine, I'm curious as to just sort of the um, geographically. I mean, we're obviously hyper focused here in Vancouver, Washington, Portland Metro. We're not so we know kind of what's going on in our region. I'm curious as to if you could just speak to kind of what's the mood like in your region. I'm kind of shocked by the fact that you're at shelter in place till June. That seems awfully far out because we haven't gone that far out. I mean, I think we're still 2-3 weeks is what the governor's order was. I mean, we're expecting it probably to be pushed out. Just talk kind of about the mood of the region. What did you have a large breakout of cases, or what pushed out the shelter in place all the way to June?
Yeah, I think what I was reading is that it quadrupled in the last week. Our case number is my understanding, and so today was the day they announced we would be in shelter in place until June. So I think there's a variety of reactions, but I think that they closed the beaches and it's only open for fishing and exercise, is my understanding, and that's more southeast area for Virginia. But I think there's just in general anger, and people are processing, so they're going through grief, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, but unfortunately, we're going to see a lot more upcoming loss and grief and emotions that our society has not necessarily done a very good job of dealing with in the past. And when we do have to deal with it, it's not always a comfortable topic to deal with. And I think that our leaders right now in this country, just in general, they have a huge responsibility right now as far as managing what is going on and managing expectations and managing what is possible and what is not possible. And with the availability of data at fingertips almost immediately, knowing that leaders need to gather the data and get a plan in place before they can make a response or make a comment or do what they need to do in order to lead. Just having patience in this process is going to be huge. But I think that our region is pretty metro. We're right near Washington, D.C. So it's fast paced. It's pretty individualized. There are community pockets of communities in the area, that do really well as communities, but the culture is more so individualized, I think. So that's one struggle that I think as a community in general in our region, we're going to have to address, because how can you not help your neighbor when they need the help that they need, and be able to justify that? At the same time, how do you keep yourself safe? So it's a conflicting dynamic going on.
Yeah, conflicting priorities for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Canope had a question for you.
Hope you had a question. Maybe. When he finishes his drink, hang on, he's finishing his glass of beer
And his pretzel.
Oh, wait a minute, he's having audio issues. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think that it's a bad day to be online. I think the bandwidth is getting pressed on our either on our host here or across the board maybe. But he was curious to find out about the Certified Recovery Specialist certification that you went through. If you wouldn't mind, just so we can get a little bit about your background. Is that something you'd like to talk about? Kind of what goes into that, and what spawned you to get that particular certification?
Sure. So, Certified Peer Recovery Specialist is CPRS, and what spawned me to get it was my experience with my own mental health condition. I've been through quite a lot since 2004, so about 16 years. And I learned about it, and I wanted to give back to the community that helped me, because my family was very patient with what I went through, and they helped me a lot. And then once I got to a certain point, I ended up needing social assistance. After I went through that experience, was when I was really pretty adamant being able to get back and being able to help other peers or individuals living with mental health conditions be able to be successful. So one of the key components of being a certified peer recovery specialist is having hope for the individual when they don't have hope for themselves. And that's the same thing with family support partner services as well. They have hope for the family when the family maybe is not hopeful themselves. Because hope is a very strong emotion and feeling, and however you want to label it, concept to really have and to embody. And unfortunately, when people lose hope, that's when they lose confidence and when they lose other aspects of their life that they maybe didn't want to or weren't expecting to lose. Maybe it's a relationship or something on that order, and they lose hope because they've lost a relationship. So being a certified peer recovery specialist to me is about having that relationship with a peer to say, hey, I'm here for you. I might not have been through what you've been through, but I've been through something similar, and I can empathize with your situation, and we're equals. So it's a different sort of relationship than it's mutuality. It's not like a therapist relationship. It's not like a psychiatrist relationship with the individual. It's a peer looking out for another peer, saying if they don't know how to advocate for themselves, the peer stands up for them and advocates and says, okay, this is what they need based on what they've been telling me in conversations that they've had with the peer. So for instance, if you're getting treatment through your local community services board, in our area, we have peer recovery specialists that work with individuals that come in that are living with mental health conditions. And what the peer recovery specialist does, they kind of are a bridge between the caregivers and the peers, sides to understand where the other side is at and what the other side might need, and to make it a little bit less stressful for the individual living with a mental health condition to experience what they're experiencing. Because a lot of times individuals with mental health conditions feel alone, and part of what they've experienced is isolation, and they feel like they have no one to reach out to, and to have that peer there for support is really crucial. So that's what pushed me into going further and getting that certification. And the certification requirements differ across the country. So for instance, in Virginia, we need a 72-hour course. And I'm also certified as a trainer for that course. And then we have to do 500 hours of practice, supervised with supervision, 25 hours of supervision, before we can go and we can take the test. And then we take the test and then get certified that way. So that's kind of an example. And one scenario of how you can get certified. There's also a national certification you can get, but it requires 3,000 hours of,
Whoa.
I don't want to call it residency because it's not medical, but it's 3,000 hours of practice supervised. So.
Whoa.
Wow.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I love the idea of, providing hope for a person when they don't feel it for themselves. I mean, I can't think of a better message for what's happening in our world today, because you're right. Everyone is processing this differently, and there's a lot of people who are grieving, and there's a lot of people who are stressed, and there's a lot of people who are feeling hopeless. And I mean, I just can't think of a better message to end on than that. So reach out to your business community, reach out to your neighbors, reach out to your friends and your relatives. And it's just so important that we make sure that the people who we come in contact with every day understand that, hey, you're not alone. We're all going through this together. We're going to get to the other side, and that we're all here to help each other. And if we can do that, then we'll get to the other side of this with flying colors, I hope.
Yeah, amen. And the community, your local community, your neighbors, people. Again, you can do small things. Can have a major impact. And whether that's just going to your neighbor and just and calling them, and like you see all these videos online of parents staying inside and their grandkid or grandparents staying inside and their grandkids knocking on the window and they're texting and all that. Small things like that have such a big impact. And Kristine, I really want to bring you back on again when we have a little bit more time to talk more about your story and how you came over how you are still dealing with mental health and kind of the future of mental health and where it's going and where you see it. But I want to thank you for coming on today. You are awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. If people want to find out more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness, what's the best place to send them?
If they want to find out more, so if they are national and they're looking for their local affiliate, I would start with NAMI.org, NAMI.org. If they are in the Washington area, it's NAMIWA.org. And they have a whole list of resources, like a helpline, a texting crisis line, all on the website. I wanted to look it up for you guys because I know, you're in the Washington area. So, and they have 19 different affiliates in the Washington state, it looks like. So it's well covered in that area.
Awesome.
Love it. You're doing fantastic work. We really appreciate everything that you're doing. And again, thank you so much for coming on the program tonight.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you, Kristine. We'll talk to you again, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Just real quick, so if you want to find out more about us, we are at bizoverbeer.com. That's bizoverbeer.com. You can find our podcast on all of the normal podcast platforms. You can look for the Happy Hour number 8. That is tonight's episode. We'll be looking to get that published probably on a Wednesday morning. So be on the lookout for that. Any feedback, questions, anything that you want for us, please feel free to reach out to us here at Business Over Beer.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kaylor. Thank you, Canope. Thank you again, Kristine. And thank you to all of our listeners.
We'll see you next time.
Later.
Hey, guys.
Good night.
Business Over Beer reminds you to always drink responsibly. Our theme song is Alley Cat by Soul Shifters. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the next Business Over Beer Happy Hour.